7th edition of this race. A different winner each year. The last 4 years it has been dominated by Italy. 2 former champions are within their number today in the form of Matteo Trentin and Elia Viviani.
So the French are managing this quite well at the moment. They've got 3 riders taking pose on the front, and so they're swapping up. They're not using single resources each time. So they're having to manage that quite well.
They've clearly thought about it, and the way they've been riding with real discipline, not taking any of the weight, they've clearly said, right, we're going to take it up into the last lap, or 10k to go. And as you said, when I first looked at it, I thought if they're going to just have one guy peel off, they're going to run and burn out through resources very quickly.
Yeah, they're running 3 riders at the moment. So these first 3, they're swapped in terms at the front, which is a sensible thing to do. But all it needs is one. So one of them's cracked now. So they're down to 2, which is not enough.
Well, Hofstetter just kicked out of that corner a little bit too much, and the gap just opened. And you've got a rider in second position who can't hold the wheel. It's not a great situation.
Great. But there's still 7 riders left tomorrow on the back of the line. But you just know they're going to get dive bombed by somebody, not too once they get inside the 4 kilometers.
I tell you what, Hofstetter has been putting in a real workload here. This is a great bit of riding by the Frenchman. The Dutch squeeze a little bit on the inside, but they're certainly not panicking. Jos van Emden, the first rider of the men in that pale orange kit. Another roundabout done. 8.3 kilometers to go. Get ever nearer the finish. A couple of gaps starting to open up. Still plenty of opportunity for other teams to move up, but this is a really good pace. This will be the fastest lap so far without a shadow of a doubt, just by looking at the shape of the peloton. And as we expected, because of there's no radios in use, constantly lots of riders looking around, trying to find their teammates.
And they're riding when you're in this situation on the straights, if you give it what everybody says, full gas on the straight, nobody can move up, and then you can kind of ease off slightly in the corner, but you have to get into the corner first. And it's only on the straights that anybody's going to be able to move up at all, which we're seeing now. There's a general kind of bunching up, even though they're still riding flat out.
Yeah, generally when there's a little bit of extra shelter as well, it creates almost like a vacuum, and it's easier to move through the air and even move up, isn't it? But when it's exposed and you've got a little bit of wind coming from the side, that's when it's harder to move up, isn't it?
So if you can keep so now they're getting slightly dive bombed, and you'll see them all looking over anxiously.
Yeah, this is the team of the Netherlands again. It's an unfamiliar kit. It is ever so slightly orange, but they're now leading through. Germany also moving through as well. And they've lost one rider. Unfortunately, Pascal Ackermann crashed out a couple of laps ago. So the Netherlands lead through, but it's got a little bit fractious here now. Yeah. So the Germany on the inside have got the line there. And
the French rider who just done that big turn on the front, as he went back down through the middle, which is a very disruptive thing to do. That's not always a kind of well-respected tactic to employ at this time.
Now Hofstetter hits the front again. Fantastic scenes here in the centre of Munich for the European Championships. This was touted as being essentially European Championships for the road sprinters, and unless somebody can break away from this group, which is very, very doubtful indeed, given the composition of the teams, given the discipline that we've seen, this is going to be a big bunch sprint. So Germany now lead with the Roger Kluge. Just behind him, the veteran, well, not hardly a veteran, but been around a long time, winner of Milan-San Remo, winner of Paris-Roubaix, John Degenkolb, looking very, very good. You just see Phil Bauhaus just making sure he was just getting that. Just somebody tried to just get on the wheel, and he was just using that a bit. It's a non-contact sport, but occasionally, just give me that wheel back. That's my teammates. People now fighting for the wheels. French now moving again up the outside. No other teams. Belgium have dropped back a little bit after looking after Tim Merlier. The shape that we saw earlier on from Slovenia has fallen away as well, looking after Luca Mezgec. But the Italians sat in about a little bit of looking around.
15, 20th position.
Yep. Looking good, and they are in one long line as well.
And I think I spotted Morkov back, kind of watching what they were doing.
This is quite a technical part. Twists and turns. So 5.8 kilometers to go. And the host nation, Germany, have now taken things up at the front as we briefly go under this bridge, through this tunnel, should I say, briefly out of sight. But thankfully, we've got coverage all the way through. And there is the figure of John Degenkolb on the left-hand side. The Dutch squad desperately trying to match the pace of the double monument winner. And in the centre, that looked like the figure of Stefan Bissegger. So Bissegger in the centre being a bit disruptive. Remember, the Swiss team already had Sylvain Dillier out in the breakaway. They don't have a real out-and-out sprinter. but they might try and be a little bit disruptive. So that's Stefan Bissegger in the centre, still the Dutch on the right-hand side, Germans on the left, French in the centre.
Yeah, let's go and get lined up nicely for the sprint that's about to unleash.
We're just coming up to that little sector where we saw that little crash earlier on. So still the Germans on the right-hand side. The Belgians, lost sight of the Belgians a little bit. The Czech team moving up as well. And through the centre, it's actually quite chaotic here. For the first time, Matteo Trentin now moving through to the front. So Trentin takes it up in the centre, always looking on his wheel. He's got one of the Norwegians on his wheel, then one of the Swiss riders. There's a fair amount of colour blocking, but in the centre, that's actually pretty chaotic here, Pippa.
It is, it does. This is going to be really messy just because of the nature of the course before hasn't really, although it's been fast, it hasn't been hard enough to kind of knock the speed out of everybody.
Exactly. And as we said before, it's had its undulations, but with a good road surface, 207k, there's going to be, well, people are going to be tired, but there's going to be a few fresh legs as well as we head in to this park area. Under the glare of the Angel of Peace, we're heading in to the last 4 kilometres, and it's the team of the Netherlands that take things up at the front. So 4 kilometres to go, just under now, 3.9 kilometres to go. As the crowd watch on, there is the Angel of Peace casting her eye over the multicoloured field of the European Championships. In about 4.5–5 minutes time, we'll know who's going to be crowned the European champion and get to wear the iconic white, blue and gold jersey for the next 12 months. And there's a crash. Well, that looks like that was actually the hope for Spain. It looks like that's Cortina who's actually down, who would have been their best bet, but Bissegger has actually gone clear. Yeah. I think the one team that don't have an out-and-out sprinter, they've animated the race through Sylvain Dillier, and I think Bissegger has now gone clear, and he is a man that has the capacity to win this alone, and it is. Bissegger is clear.
He can, and he's more than capable of riding these last 3.5 kilometres at 60k an hour.
Well, Bissegger shot through, used that descent to add a little bit of momentum. Let's have a look at this. Look at that. Took a risk on it. Did you see his bike almost skipped?
Yep.
He took a risk there as well. Cornered like an absolute demon. Canting his bike round that corner, really leaning in, and he's opened up a bit of a gap. Still 3 kilometres to go for Stefan Bissegger.
You can see how much pressure there is on behind to try and close him down.
Yeah, he's a dangerous rider, they'll know. It's, again, if you had to pick a couple of riders from this field, including Ganna, Bissegger would be one of them. Again, the gap foreshortened just by the camera angle. On the left-hand side, it's the French desperately trying to bring it back. The flying Swiss rider.
So they're using up Coquard on the left, the French, just to try and close that gap. So he's having to do his sprint already just to close Bissegger down. Yep.
The French on the right, as you say. Coquard has really got that real acceleration. There's a real crispness, real strength, that track prowess that he's got as well. But the threat of Stefan Bissegger has been snuffed out. We knew there'd be one attack. It's more than a TV attack. That was a really good move, but the bunch are just moving too quickly now. The Belgians now dive into this corner. 2 kilometres to go of the European Championships. French now pick it up on the front. The Dutch in second place. They've got this big sweeping turn. There's the finishing straight on the left-hand side. It's basically a kilometre down and a kilometre back. Wow. This is getting pretty messy here, Pippa.
It is. This is going to be really chaotic now. So you've got Jakobsen sitting on the back of the Dutch train on the right. You haven't really seen him much at all, but his job is from this last corner to the finish. He's got to get this part of it right. Well,
the Italians have taken things up on the right-hand side. Is this where they're going to use Filippo Ganna? It's one of the riders with an engine. It is Filippo Ganna on the front, leading them through. This will be a 500-metre turn by one of the most powerful engines in the world. Takes them into this final corner. They hit Mach 10 into this corner. The Italians have control at the moment. They're carrying a little bit of extra pace. Matteo Trentin, I think, is leading into the corner now. 1 kilometre to go.
And I think that's I think of Jakobsen on the back of the Italian train, if I can see that properly. It looks like it is.
Well, they're coming into the finishing straight. It is Matteo Trentin. It is the Maglia Azzurra, the Azzurra team, and the last wheel, in fact, is Alberto Danesi. Where Danesi is there, he looks to be the chosen man. Looks on his wheel. It's that Liepins is there as well. Well, where is Mads Pedersen is also there too. This is absolutely wonderful lead up by Matteo Trentin. They open things up now, Elia Viviani is on the wheel now on the right hand side. Van Gestel now goes for Belgium. Where is Tim Merlier? Tim Merlier is almost invisible now. This is an absolutely rip-roaring fall. You know, they open things up. Bert van Lerberger opens things up for Belgium. An absolutely scintillating sprint. Tim Merlier is in second wheel. Fabio Jakobsen is in third wheel as well. Now they open things up. Merlier goes. Van Poppel goes on the left-hand side. Jakobsen there too. De Maar in the mix too. Merlier in the centre. Jakobsen on the right. Merlier. Jakobsen is the European champion. The first time he hit the front, he takes the win. Absolutely sensational.
Well, the Italians almost got that right, but Jakobsen was always in the best position. I thought at first he'd taken up the role behind the Italians, but it wasn't. It was an Austrian rider by the looks of it. And then Jakobsen was trailing behind Merlier. Obviously counted on him doing a proper lead out for a sprinter to have humility.
Yeah.
Which Fabio Jakobsen has.
Just look at the power that Merlier is putting there. Committed quite a bit, but look at the way that Jakobsen, as soon as he moved off the wheel of Merlier, there it is again. There's the aerial shot we wanted to see. Waiting. Actually, Merlier went very, very early, didn't he?
Early.
So we just lost the freeze frame there, but this was the moment that Jakobsen just opened it up. De Maar was riding very strong. Merlier desperate. Van Poppel celebrating on the left-hand side. Top 10 as well for Sam Bennett, but no doubt about the winner. It was nearly a length in it in the end. There was no real need for a lunge. It was a length, full length clear. Get the side on shot there is a length and a wheel clear there.
He didn't take any chances with that
throw. No, not at all. I think Van Poppel ended up fourth while celebrating there.
Yeah.
So Fabio Jakobsen is your European champion.